Rukmini. I'm Rudra's twin sister. Yes, I know it's very hard to believe we're twins, but you have to now, there's no choice. So, yes, we're twins, but sometimes I had to act as the older sister. You see, when small kids begin school, they have to adapt to only being away from their parents for so long. However, Rudra had to adapt to being away from his mother, from our mother, to whom he still was, so to whom he was and still is very attached, and he had to adapt to the outside world with his hearing aids. Lucky for him, he was never alone. He has a huge army standing behind him, ready to support him in whatever he does. I'm proud to say that I'm standing at the front of that army, making sure he never has to feel as a different kid. I was an extremely introverted child until one day the school held a parade for the students who won at the Asian level. They walked down in front of 1800 students, and when they were asked to speak, none of the athletes volunteered. Except Rudra did, and he spoke in front of all of the students without stuttering. Leave talking in front of such a huge audience, pronouncing his words properly used to be such a big task for him. Another thing that was really hard for him was making friends. I made friends easily, and Rudra often stuck with me and my friends. However, as he grew up, he hit that age, where boys start hating on girls and they want to stay away from them. So then he had to make his own friends. And after joining climbing, that became relatively easy for him because he just stuck with his climbing fellows. However, one day in 8th, he came home and he asked me the full form of NGL. I was confused. I was like, shouldn't you know the full form of NGL? And why are you asking me so randomly? And he was like, I have joined a new friend group and they're typing stuff and I don't really understand. But just tell me what NGL means and I'll be fine. So I was so proud of him that day that I didn't even tease him. Otherwise, I would have held it over his head for like a month or something. Aside from the days that he completely pisses me off and I want to pull out all of his hair, I am proud of him every single day. Yes, he isn't perfect, but at the end of the day, none of us are. And we just need to accept each other with the flaws. And in my eyes, Rudra has no flaws, other than being a snitch and extremely annoying. Yes, he lacks some stuff in the IQ department, but his EQ is extremely high. Just recently, I stood for the house captain position, and everybody was so confident that I would win, including Rudra. And then I lost by 1 vote. And I was devastated, I was crying. No, I wasn't even embarrassed that it was happening in front of the whole school. And then Rudra came to comfort me and he was also crying. So I was like, why are you crying? And he's like, Ruku, you lost. You shouldn't have lost. Nobody else can be captain. And they were such beautiful words, but they just made me cry more. But that's what he does. He makes me cry in frustration, in happiness, in anger. Another admirable quality about him is his need to make absolutely zero mistakes in his climbing races. It was his first time at the Asians, and he was doing his speed round. So speed is basically when you have to run really fast up the wall. I think the world record is 4 seconds. Yeah, 4 seconds up the entire wall. So it was his first time, and he was jittery as it is. And there were 3 beeps to signal when you had to start, and he started on the 2nd beep. And when he landed down, he was terrified. He was like, what if I don't qualify and stuff? Thankfully, he did. And at the beginning of the next round, he waited and waited and waited. He started a millisecond late, which in climbing talk is 10 seconds late. He still won a bronze in the Asians. And that has taught me that you shouldn't give up. He could have easily given up. He could have been like, oh no, I'm a millisecond late. Maybe I won't win now. But no, he crossed his opponent and he won. Rudra has created a name for himself in the climbing community. He has a whole fan base and many, many friendships. Listening to all of my friends listening to all of them tell me to congratulate him on their behalf makes me feel so good. I know they aren't congratulating me, but at the end of the day, they're practically congratulating me because I raised him. So I'm really proud of him, and all this got a bit sentimental, so I can guarantee that I am never this nice to him. Only today, and of course, when he wins and when he's nice to me. So thank you very much.